Hello, fellow members of the Alliance, and welcome to episode 12 of the Alliance Football Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Villagomez. You can find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Find the show on Twitter at Alliance FB Pod. I've got a wonderful Friday show for you. Happy pre-game day. Pre-day before game. Yeah, happy Friday. Tomorrow's football, and we're going to get you ready for it. We have got Ian Glendon. He is the coordinator of Full Press Coverage and Full Press Radio Network, which we are proud members of. And we also have the AAF Delivery Guy. Ronald Wilson himself is going to join us to talk about how the Delivery Guy came to be and all that other fun stuff. So, as always, on Friday, we've got our Fantasy 4-pack ready for you to play some Fanball Daily Fantasy. So I'm going to stop yapping and start yakking at the next segment. So let's get to the show. Let's jump into our game previews. Week 3 is starting this Saturday, and we are in for some treats. It's Symmetry Week, actually, in the AAF, as we've got 3 matchups of 2-0 versus 0-2 teams, and 1 matchup of 1-1 versus 1-1 teams. The first is a 2-0 versus an 0-2 teams, and that's Arizona taking on Salt Lake. This is a Week 1 rematch where Arizona came away with a 38-22 win over the Stallions. This game's going to be at 12 p.m. Pacific, and you can find it on Bleacher Report Live, that app, or as always, you can find it streaming on the AAF app as well. So this is an interesting one because this isn't going to be on broadcast TV. This is actually going to be all on an app. So you're going to have to make sure that you find the Bleacher Report app or, again, have it on the AAF app on your phone. God, you say that 3 times fast. All right, let's break it down this way. We're going to start breaking things down a little bit differently for these game previews. So take a look first at the quarterback battle. It's going to be Josh Woodrum for Salt Lake, who is going to be going up against John Wolford of the Arizona Hotshots. And man, this is not the same matchup as Week 1, I don't feel. This is going to be a completely different feel to it. Both teams now have had a couple of weeks to feel things out. Woodrum for the Stallions, 10 of 22, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception so far this season. And then Wolford is 32 of 51 for 469, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on the season. Woodrum was out last week, so I mean his stats are a little bit skewed because of 1 week of stats versus Wolford's 2 weeks of stats. But even still, Wolford is definitely the quarterback to favor in this matchup. Again, Woodrum didn't look bad. He just didn't have the firepower that Wolford has. And this is one of those matchups where we got Josh versus John, Josh Woodrum, John Wolford. Try to keep that straight if you're an announcer. That's going to be a lot of fun. But last week in the Salt Lake game, it was Austin Allen that came in relief, and he did not look all that impressive. So Josh Woodrum is all reports say that he's going to be back in for the Stallions, so that should be good for that offense. But again, this is still an offense that's searching for an identity. It's looking for answers. And I don't know if it's going to have it against Arizona this coming week. In last week's game for Wolford, though, he actually buckled down in that second half against Memphis. I know that Memphis jumped out to a lead, but they buckled down, and Wolford did as well to lead the team to the win. He got that TD pass to Tim Cook there, which basically sealed the deal. So look out for Wolford to pretty much do most of the same against this Salt Lake defense. Things to watch in this game. The Arizona running back situation, which is a 3-headed monster. We talked a little bit about it in Monday's episode, but it features Jarrell Presley, Tim Cook, and Justin Stockton. Jarrell Presley has 30 carries so far for 121 yards, 1 reception and 1 reception on 2 targets, 30 yards on that, and 1 touchdown. He is actually good for 3rd overall in the rushing leaders. Tim Cook, on the other hand, 13 carries for 73 yards, 1 reception, 1 target, 4 touchdowns, and that was only, of course, in week 2. His stats are from just the one game. And then Justin Stockton, 100 yards on 11 carries with 1 reception on 1 target for 4 yards. So that three-headed beast is going to be trying to run down the throat of the Salt Lake defense, and they are a very, very impressive trio. And with the Tim Cook addition in there, that just makes this running game all the more scary. And I think Salt Lake has their hands just basically full with those 3 running backs that Arizona is going to throw at them. Salt Lake, on the other hand, they've got 2 good running backs themselves. They got Brandon Oliver, who's got 99 yards on 22 carries. He's 8th overall in the rushing stats. And then they got Joel Bogdan, who kind of blew up in the last week. He's got 27 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown. He's good for 5th overall. I mean, everybody thought it was Brandon Oliver's show, but Bogdan's jumped on and actually taken that role. And I think he's got a pretty good chance to take it over some more if he continues to put up good yards per carry. So I think Brandon Oliver might end up being the change of pace back to Joel Bogdan here pretty soon. But again, those Salt Lake running backs are nothing to be sneezed at either. In the passing game for Arizona, Rashard Ross is going to be the man to watch. He's got 11 targets, and he's caught 9 of those for 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 103 of those yards versus Salt Lake in week 1. So watch out for Rashard Ross if he can still torch that secondary like he did in that first week. But for Salt Lake, it'll be Anthony Denham, who will probably look to be the lead receiver once again. He's got 13 targets. He's caught 6 of those for 70 yards. He had actually a big week against Arizona in week 1, and then he was 1 for 11, 1 catch for 11 yards against Birmingham. So that first week of action for Anthony Denham, he had a pretty good game against Arizona, but unfortunately did not turn in a very good performance against Burning Man. He didn't turn a good performance for Birmingham. So we'll watch out and see if Anthony Denham can get back on the right track. On the defensive side of it, Carter Schultz, the big man who's got all the stories, all the headlines this week, the defensive end, he's going to be the guy to watch. In week 1, he had 4 tackles, 2 for a loss, 1 sack. And then last week, he had 6 tackles, 3 for a loss, and 2 sacks. So he's a beast back there in the defensive line. And again, Arizona's going to have to key in on him if they want to keep Wolford off the ground. Steven Johnson, the linebacker for Arizona, he's 3rd overall with 13 tackles in the league. Week 1, he had 7 tackles and a pass defense and 1 interception, a forced fumble, and so that was against Salt Lake. So hopefully he can do that again for the hot shots against the Stallions. So again, this game is going to be it's an uphill battle for Salt Lake, and they really have to find some sort of offensive rhythm if they want to go up against this Arizona hotshot offense, who probably will be able to score at will against this team. The next matchup is Memphis Express against the Orlando Apollos. Memphis again coming in 0-2. Orlando coming in 2-0. This is going to be 5 o'clock Pacific on the NFL Network. Quarterback battle here. Garrett Gilbert of the Apollos, 34 of 53 for 620 yards and 4 touchdowns. Garrett Gilbert is the man so far. I have seen nothing that has derailed the Christian Hackenberg train. I have not seen any reports that says anybody else but Christian Hackenberg is going to start this week. So we're going to go on this Thursday and assume that Christian Hackenberg is starting for the Express. He's 24 of 48, 189 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a rushing touchdown. So nothing really to write home about here. This game could get ugly quick. It really could get ugly because we've seen Orlando and we've seen the offense. We've seen Garrett Gilbert. We've seen how potent he is. And we know that he's got weapons now that can catch the long balls. Charles Johnson, of course, and Jalen Marshall are the 2 that come to mind right off the bat. And those guys, there was no stopping them last week. And I don't know that Memphis has it in their arsenal to stop them at all. I mean, I know, again, the Express's defense looked better last week, and it looked like a Mike Singletary defense, but this is Orlando. This is the Apollos. These are the big dogs right now, the ones that are throwing it all over the place, the fun and sun right offense, and this is what they're up against this week. And I don't know that they have the ammunition to stop that type of offense. But for Memphis, it's not all lost. They got Zach Stacy, who is the rushing leader right now. He's got 31 carries for 159 yards and a touchdown so far this season, and he looked like he was getting off on the right track. So I think Zach Stacy, if he can get his legs underneath him, that'll take some pressure off of Hackenberg and give him a chance to not necessarily have to throw the ball 100,000 times against this Orlando offense. And if Stacy can control the pace of the game, maybe they can keep that Orlando offense on the sideline a little bit longer just to make sure that, they don't get on the field to score on them. So for Zach Stacy, this is going to be his role. Right, they're going to have to feed him the ball, feed him often, and make sure that he keeps the clock grinding to keep Orlando on the sidelines. So that way Memphis can hopefully get down and score a touchdown. If not, keep kicking field goals and stay in this game at the very least. So yeah, for that. On the defensive side of the ball, DeMarcus Gates, he is the tackle leader right now. He's got 16 tackles for the Apollos. So this is going to be, again, one of those uphill battles for Memphis. They've got to find a way. This is a must. Every win in the AAF is a must win, but this is certainly a must win for these guys because they cannot afford to go 0-3 in the East and hope to keep up because they've got a lot of competition in that Eastern Division right now, and they're all basically making their case to be in the playoffs and, of course, in the finals. So definitely want to not slip to 0-3. Another team that doesn't want to slip to 0-3 is the Atlanta Legends. They are sitting at 0-2 right now, going up against the 2-0 Birmingham Iron. Quarterback battle here pits Luis Perez against Matt Sims. Perez, 34 of 53 for 436 yards. No touchdowns, but no interceptions either, so can't really fault him for that. Matt Sims, on the other hand, for Atlanta, he's 24 of 48, 286, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and Matt Sims, this offense has to find answers. They've got to find a rhythm. They've got to be able to actually hang with the Birmingham defense. And this is really the story. What to watch here in this game is how Sims can deal with this Iron defense. Can he manage to find his receivers? Can he stay cool under pressure? Because Birmingham is going to bring it, and they're going to bring it hard. And it's going to be up to Sims now to figure out how to read that defense and find his receivers and make sure that he doesn't get sacked a million times, because that could be very much in his future if the offensive line can't protect him and if he can't figure out, if they're not protecting him, how to dance away and out of that pocket and make sure that he stays upright. Because if he does, he's not bad. He's not a bad quarterback. None of these quarterbacks are awful. They just need a little more time to operate. So if he gets a little more time, I think he'll be okay. I don't know that they'll come out with the win, but at least he'll have a favorable showing. So that's one of the storylines to watch, is how Sims can deal with this Iron defense. And then can Luis Perez throw his first touchdown pass in the AAF? That is a valid question against this Atlanta defense. It's not out of the realm of possibility, and we've seen Luis Perez do a great job of moving the ball down the field, but he still hasn't been able to punch one in. And that's pretty frustrating, because you know why? Because you got Trent Richardson. You got fourth quarter magic man, touchdown machine Trent Richardson. And the other question we have for this game is, can Trent Richardson have that big game? The San Diego Fleet had 185 yards rushing against this Atlanta defense, with Jaquan Gardner registering 104 of those yards. And against Orlando, this defense gave up 137 yards with Akeem Hunt coming up with 73 of those yards. So rushing yards can be had here for Trent Richardson. Let's see if he can finally break the 100-yard mark on less than 20 carries. That would be a story in and of itself. But if Trent Richardson can continue to at least grind the clock, I think Birmingham is still in a good position to register their third win and go 3-0 on the season, and that'll sink Atlanta down to 0-3. But sorry, Atlanta fans, it's just, you guys got to find good key players on offense. So far, everybody looks kind of out there. And then the nightcap, the final game of this slate, is San Antonio versus San Diego, and that is going to be a rematch of Week 1, where it was the San Antonio Commanders who actually walked away with that win. This game is going to be 5 o'clock Pacific on the NFL Network, so make sure that you set your DVRs for that. quarterback battle in this one. It's going to be Logan Woodside. All reports saying that he's going to be back up, and he will be with the San Antonio Commanders. He went 38, or so far he's 38 of 75, 478 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions against the great and mighty, all hail the alley-oop Philip Nelson of San Diego. He's 19 of 40, 210, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But he also has 2 fumbles in that game that he started last week. They won, but there's a lot of room for improvement that San Diego needs to have if they want to come away with the win here against a very irritated San Antonio Commanders team that thought that they could win, very much came into that game really convinced that they can win against Orlando, but ultimately lost it in the fourth quarter and never got it back. So they are going to be out to prove that they're not a fluke, not that week 1 fluke, and they want to beat up on the rivals, the San Diego Fleet. Which, is it a rivalry yet? I don't know. They've played one game. Maybe after this game, something will happen and it'll solidify that rivalry. But what to watch in this one? Can you trust Philip Nelson 2 weeks in a row? Can he deliver another win? Can he throw over his head for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns? That's going to be the question. Whether or not Philip Nelson can come in and do what he did last week and ultimately win the game. Again, it wasn't anything pretty, but he ended up winning the game. And that's all the San Diego Fleet really want. Who's going to step up for the Commanders at this point? We've seen names like Big Play McKay, right? He's supposed to be a huge player. And so far, he hasn't necessarily panned out as much as everybody was hoping for. But there's a lot of these receivers and running backs for the Commanders that, for as much as they're talented, we haven't yet to see a huge showing from any one person. So who's going to be the one to step up for the Commanders? Kenneth Farrow is one of those names that I threw out. This is going to be a matchup of him versus Jaquan Gardner at the running back position, and that's going to be a fun one to watch because both of these guys can flat out play. And it's going to be, hopefully it'll be a good running. I love a good running game. I absolutely love watching running backs break out and follow their blocks and break out for huge runs. So I'm hoping to see both Kenneth Farrow and Jaquan Gardner have great games. And then which San Diego wideout will have a good game, because guess what? Cam Kelly is back in the secondary now. No longer is he going to be a wide receiver. He's going back into the secondary. So is it going to be Spruce for the Fleet again that steps up this week? Who knows? Like, there is there's basically nobody that we can think of. There's Nelson Spruce, there's Brian Brown, there's Dontez Ford, even Gavin Escobar. Those guys all now have to deal without having Cam Kelly in the wideout core, and one of them's going to have to step up to carry that receiving core. I mean, Spruce had 58 yards last week against the Legends, so it's not like any of these guys are barn burners. It's certainly no 192 yards, but yeah, I mean, there's somebody that has to step up, and who's it going to be? So, all right, that is the quick and dirty game previews, and we're going to continue on with the show. On the line with me right now is Ronald Wilson. He is better known to the folks on Twitter now as the AAF Delivery Guy. And I got to tell you, he's delivering some joy to me right now because I finally get a chance to talk to him and get him on the air. So thanks, Ronald, for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, hey, listen, let's get this out of the way, okay? You work for a delivery service, and obviously this ties into your name somehow. So just explain to all of us how the AAF Delivery Guy was even born.
Well, it was born out of me just being bored, really. I was sitting in my truck, and I was on break, and I was just bored, and I thought, you know what, why don't I make a video real quick on Twitter just delivering the message that football isn't over. It was right before the first game, and I did it. I didn't think anything of it. And then next thing I know, I woke up the next morning. It had 200-something views. And then I decided to just keep doing it where I deliver my picks every week. And then here we are.
Yeah, going viral goes a long way to making you want to do things, right?
Oh, yeah. And it really helped, I think, the first week when I was 4 for 4 on my picks. I think if I was wrong any of them, I said I would have just quit right there.
Nah, you couldn't have. One wrong, 3-1. That's not bad. That's still reason to keep going.
Yeah, you're probably right.
All right, so this thing caught fire. Everybody's loving it right now. How much are you enjoying just being able to do this and deliver your picks week after week?
It's surreal. I love football so much, and that's really the only sport I watch. And just to get to be a part of it, just having fun and doing something I love, get to write now about the games. I get to make these videos. I get my wife and my kids involved, and it's really surreal. I don't think it's really hit me yet, but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, we didn't even get into that, like what this parlays into. I mean, you're writing about the AAF. I mean, I don't think you would have thought, I don't know, when week 1 ended that all this stuff would happen and you'd be now writing for the league.
Yeah, that to me was just the most mind-blowing thing. I wasn't expecting that at all. I just was making these videos and somebody approached me online and they said, will you please cover the league for us? And now now my wife can't turn the TV off while the games are on. She has to watch them with me.
So go ahead and tell us who you're writing for then. Go ahead. Don't keep it a secret.
It's a podcast. They just got started up called Pigskins and Penalties. You can follow them on Twitter at Pigskins and Penalties. And it's these guys out of Florida, these 3 buddies, and they just cover anything, all football from college to NFL and now the AAF.
Oh, it's good because I'm going to cut that part out. You just, produced another, or not produced, you just promoted another podcast on the show. So sorry, that's going in the waste can.
Okay.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's all good. No, listen.
You can tell I'm so new to this.
That's all right. You're going to make your rounds, man. Like I said on Twitter, your niche and the way you came up with the AAF Delivery Guy, that was fresh. That was a new take that I think is actually by the end of the season should have a huge foothold, probably a bigger foothold than this podcast. You'll be interviewing me soon to your thousands upon thousands of fans. So I really think that it was a novel concept, and I'm really impressed with the way you came up with it and just the honesty of it all, because there's a lot of people making grabs right now at AAF fame claiming that they're the best, but you've got a little foothold in there in a unique opportunity to grow this little AAF Delivery Guy. So I'm pretty jealous of you, actually.
Oh, that's so funny because you were the first podcast I ever listened to about the AAF, and really my first podcast ever. And so when I found out you were a fan of mine, I screenshot it and I showed it to my wife. I was like, I can't believe it. And so that's such a huge honor that you'd even say that. Thank you so much.
Oh, no way. And so now everything that I clipped out before, I'm going to clip that one out and put that on my wall. And that way I'm going to just keep playing it when I have bad days because, it's all good.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about the AAF itself. All right, let's talk about this league because this league is really why we're sitting here talking together. And it's an amazing opportunity for guys like us who didn't want football to end to, first of all, not have it end. And then second of all, to just have more to talk about. So what got you into the AAF and why do you love it so much?
Well, when Charlie Ebersol really was getting this going, and he was pointing out the millions of Americans that don't watch any other sport but football, I'm one of those Americans. I just only really enjoy football, and I'm a big believer in spring football. I've never really watched the CFL. I know you're a huge fan, but I did watch arena football, something just to fill that void. So when I found out the AAF was starting, man, I just really wanted to follow it. That's the whole reason I got Twitter, was to follow more about the AAF. And yeah, you're right. It does give players opportunities, coaches opportunities, people like us more opportunities just to enjoy football all year round.
So what's your favorite team? First of all, do you have one? And second of all, how'd you go about picking them?
Well, I do have a favorite team because I am a Texas boy. I'm here in Texas, so I had to pick the San Antonio Commanders.
And they're very impressive right now.
Oh, they're very impressive. Oh, my heart was broken in that game against Orlando. I thought they had it, but in my opinion, I think Orlando is the top team in this league. They've
got all the firepower. And really, honestly, it starts up front. That quarterback play, obviously Garrett Gilbert is just next level. And I know that, NFL folks love to tier their quarterbacks and stuff like that. But look, if I'm going to put anybody in any tier, it's Garrett Gilbert, and then there's everybody else. Because even I know people are like, well, Luis Perez and well, my quarterback and your quarterback, but I mean, it's Garrett Gilbert because this guy, even with Josh Wolford in Arizona, As impressive as he looks right now, I still think Garrett Gilbert is head and shoulders above the rest of all the quarterbacks in the league right now.
I would absolutely agree with that. I would say it would be tied for second with Perez, Woodside, and Wolford, and then a very far first, just way ahead of everybody, is Garrett Gilbert. And I think that's what makes them so dangerous.
So, and we've seen what happened without Woodside in Salt Lake. You definitely can't put a price on a good quarterback in this league, and Salt Lake knows it now, especially after not winning the last game with their backup.
Mm-hmm. I think the team that feels that the most is San Diego, being that Josh Johnson was originally going to be their starter. And now that he went on to play for the Redskins, I think they are just hurting without a really good, solid quarterback. But I'm excited to see what Philip Nelson will do as well.
You know, Philip Nelson's intriguing to me in a way that Mike Bercovici is not. I mean, we've seen Bercovici and we saw, look, aside from the giant helmet hit, there's nothing else other than the interception after interception that you could show in Bercovici's reel that would make me say, yes, he's a starting quarterback anywhere, let alone the AAF.
Oh, yeah. Bercovici, I would say he gave San Antonio's secondary a false sense of security, and then Garrett Gilbert came in and just destroyed that.
Yeah, I mean, how can you game plan against the guy? I mean, when he's got at least two decent deep threats, and he showed both of them. Charles Johnson, obviously, with the huge game, but, he still had his other deep threats that tore everybody apart.
Oh, yeah. Once they gave him time, I know at the beginning our defense was really looking good, pressuring him, making big plays. Once they gave him time, and then Johnson it was not fair, the matchup Johnson had. I mean, he was just beating his defenders constantly all night. And once Garrett had that time, he just was meeting him. I mean, over almost 200 yards, receiving yards, that's just incredible.
Yeah, and I didn't even play him at all in Fanball. I played Jalen Marshall, and I thought, yeah, that's, Jalen Marshall is going to get, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Charles Johnson. And the guys that played Charles Johnson were laughing because they're up there at the top, and I'm looking up at him saying, how'd you know that?
That's fantasy football. It's one guy's hot one week and he's cold the next.
And even more so in the AAF, where you obviously in those first 2 weeks didn't really know anybody from anybody. I mean, the research you could do was based on their past stats and maybe 1 week of action and a preseason game where they didn't get all the snaps. So do you play fantasy at all?
I play fantasy, absolutely. For during the NFL season. I didn't want to do it this year for the AAF because it was so new, and I just wanted to watch and enjoy and just learn as much as I could. I think fantasy for the AAF is going to be extremely difficult because as these weeks, especially this first year, as these weeks go on, teams are going to change. We're going to start to see their identities and who they are as teams. But then the next season, we're going to see totally different teams with players getting called up to the NFL. Or, I think we're going to see year by year totally different landscapes of the AAF.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, obviously, like I said, Gilbert's probably not going to be back. I mean, even Luis Perez hasn't even thrown a touchdown pass, but I still think that he's probably got a shot at least a backup role somewhere next year. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's going to be tough. But listen, there's degenerates like me that will always gamble. And once I found out that AAF had DFS, I could not. I couldn't help myself. I had to throw, money at that first couple of games, and I can't stop now. I mean, I'm already in it. So, and I've been putting those fantasy 4-packs in my show, and I had an article 2 weeks ago. I didn't write one last week because of time constraints, but yeah, I'm a fantasy guy at heart, and I can't not take advantage of the AAF. I want to look, and the reason that I started a league-wide show was because I wanted to enjoy the whole league. I don't want to root for a single team, and I probably won't for the whole existence of the league. I'll just keep myself, without a team. But when it comes to fantasy, I can't help myself.
See, that's why I didn't get started, because I knew if I got started, I couldn't stop.
All right, so listen, AAF Delivery Guy, where's the future of this? Where you think this is going? Do you think this is going anywhere? Do you want it to go anywhere? And what are you looking forward to over the course of the next 8 weeks?
Over the course of these 8 weeks, I'm just looking for these teams to just mature and get better as a whole. So, we see a little bit better quality every week. Obviously, we're not expecting NFL quality, but I know these teams are just going to get better and better. The future of this league, this is something all brand new for me. I would love to see this happen for years and years to come. I would like to see expansion. I know I asked that about of you on Twitter. Expansion. My heart is just to see this team. I think it should grow maybe maximum 16 teams at the most ever. Don't get too ambitious with this. And I know we have another spring league coming out as some competition for them, but I see really good things in the future for the AAF.
And that's the thing about it too. I mean, expansion is going to cost the team, which is different than any other league. So yeah, I mean, this is after the news. Okay, so your last thing, your quick take on what happened the last couple of days. These last 48 hours have been a whirlwind of misinformation and just I don't want to say, dare I say, fake news, but yeah.
I think that it was somebody really eager to just get the first story out, and they just said the biggest eye-catching title they could, the juiciest story, and whether it was completely factual or not, I don't think they really cared. It got the most views, it got the most clicks, and I don't necessarily think that's true. I've listened to interviews from other teams and their players, and they said their pay was just fine, that there was no issue. And so I think it was just an investment. I don't see somebody throwing $500 or $250 million into a sinking ship. And I think it was just, fake news. Whether it's from the competition or not, I'm not going to say that. But I think it was just fake news just to tell a good story. And I don't think it was true.
Yeah, clickbait is real. I mean, it's out there, and when you're trying to get the story out at 6:00 in the morning before everybody else wakes up, man, I swear, I woke up in the morning, and I mean, it was already all over the place, and I said, man, I haven't even had coffee, just like our buddy Daniel over at Memphis Express and Goal said, I haven't had coffee yet. This is nothing. We can't. I haven't even settled into my day. I haven't opened the newspaper, and all of a sudden I'm inundated with this. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm not worried about it now. I mean, you're right. There's $250 million in the pot now, and that's going to get us by for a good long time. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I definitely appreciated this time. This is not the last we'll hear from each other. Obviously on Twitter, we'll keep going, but we'll have you back on the show at least one more time before the end of the season to chat some more and see how you're going. So why don't you take the second and tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter and on social media and where they can read and follow your stuff.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at AAF Delivery Guy, and I'm also on Instagram, AAF Delivery Guy, where I post some behind-the-scene pics of what we're doing and videos that we're planning. On Twitter, I come up with videos every week delivering my picks or who I think is going to be the winners. Actually, this week I picked who I thought were going to be the losers. And then I plan on posting a video prior to the game starting, game morning, my thoughts on the games and what needs to change, what teams need to do, players of the week, things like that.
Outstanding. He is the AAF Delivery Guy, better known as Ron Wilson. Ronald, which one do you like?
Ron.
Oh, Ron. Perfect. All right, Ron. Good. So I was right. Ron Wilson, better known as the AAF Delivery Guy. You can catch him on Twitter at AAF Delivery Guy. Please make sure you go give him a follow. He is a great guy, not just with the picks, but just overall, and a great follow for the AAF. So, Ron, thanks so much for spending some time with us, and I'll see you on Twitter.
Joining me on the line right now is Ian Glendon. He is the operator of Full Press Coverage, which also operates Full Press Radio, which you can hear this very show on Thursdays. So, Ian, thanks for joining us. And first of all, thanks for putting the Alliance podcast on the Full Press Radio. I know it's been fun to hear it, and I hope your listeners are loving it.
Trust me, it's a pleasure to have you because we've been able to add several great AAF podcasts. So we're trying to corner the market here when it comes to great Alliance of American Football podcasts. So it's our pleasure to have you on there. We've been glad to been able to feature it. It helps me fill every hour of every week that I have to fill with content. So it definitely helps.
So let's talk about Full Press a little bit. Let's tell everybody what Full Press actually is, and then really what Full Press Radio does.
Well, first of all, you can always visit the site. It's fullpresscoverage.com. We launched about a year and a half ago now, November of 2017. We started primarily as an NFL site, but we have about 100 writers and editors working for us covering all the major sports. The NFL is still our bread and butter, but we have AAF coverage, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, you name it. And, we keep growing, and the content's been great. And, we pride ourselves on trying to provide go-to content for our readers, having them come to our site and get something that they trust and not, be sucked in by false headlines or stuff like that. So, we take a lot of pride in our work, and I think it shows just by the writing and being able to go there and read. And one of the great things that we've had the privilege of doing is being able to launch a radio network / podcast network where we have a 24/7 radio stream where we offer live and pre-recorded content. So in addition to our AAF podcast, such as your own, we also host several live shows. Some are more team-centric shows, like Oakland Raiders-based show that airs live every Tuesday. And we also have generic sports shows that we like to offer. We like to offer basically their traditional sports radio lineup, and we want we want people tuning in all the time and knowing that they can always get something new and fresh and exciting to listen to. So it's been fun, and it's crazy that a year and a half has already gone by. So.
You talk about a year and a half. Speaking as somebody who likes to start things from scratch, how did Full Press even come about? Like, what was the thought process behind it? And are you excited about the growth that you've seen over the last year and a half?
Well, without getting into too many specifics, a bunch of us worked together at a website in the past, and we had a great working relationship, and circumstances kind of led to us thinking that this was the best opportunity for us to continue to grow. So I'm the type of person, I don't know, I always kind of think big picture, even if it's not that realistic. So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do for a site if I had something of my own one day, and it just sort of kind of came together. So as crazy as it sounds, the moment the idea came about to launch and all that was about 2 weeks. And let's just say it was a lot of restless nights for me because, it was just a matter of setting up the site. And, again, like I said, I mean, all the work that I put into it doesn't even speak to the amount of work all these other guys, all these writers and editors put into it. Because really, I may do a lot of things behind the scenes, but these guys are the lifeblood of the site. So, it was a total team effort, and we launched at the end of the NFL season in 2017 and just kind of, hit the ground running. And since then we've seen a very steady growth in our views and our visitors coming to the site. And we've, been able to add things like, the radio network. And then of course, all of our podcasts can also be downloaded on every podcast, station or app or whatever, you have, it's there, and you like to offer people, especially like, your show, opportunities to reach a broad audience. And at the same time, we want to have good content for our listeners. So I think it's an exciting future ahead for the site because we continue to add good talent to the site. And really, you can have all the flash and pizzazz that you want, but if the talent's not there, it's not going to thrive. And, we've been thriving quite a bit. So again, that speaks to the talent, and it speaks to a very good future.
Yeah, content is king. I know that there's a lot of, there's so many new podcasts that are popping up all over the place. And I mean, to have a good, solid show, you have to have good content. And I think that's what shines through in the end. But, your message is important, I think, especially in this day and age of, like I said, everybody starting up something new. There's a lot of folks that get discouraged after the first 2 weeks because it's hard work. I mean, it's not easy, like everybody thinks it is, to just flip a switch and then automatically people flock to you because, they see your sign in the door, as it were. But it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of dedication and frustration, and you're going to want to quit like at least 5 or 6 times in 10 minutes. So just to persist and to keep going, even a year and a half out to have this much success, I think it's an important story.
Yeah. I mean, look, trust me, you're preaching to the choir, because I don't want to, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this is a 24/7 job for me, and I love it. I mean, as frustrating as it can be at times when things go wrong that no one else sees but me, or if a writer can't do this or something crashes, it's on the spot, you got to fix it. But the end result to me is seeing some of these guys that work for this site get opportunities elsewhere, if that's the path that leads them to more success, or see people have a platform to do things that they always wanted to do, and I think that we have a good enough reach, and that's growing, that I think this provides a lot of people opportunities. And again, when it comes to what our philosophy is in terms of how we run the site, is we're not dealing with the snappy headlines trying to just get the clicks. We want to provide quality content that's going to bring the readers back, and quality radio shows that's going to keep the people listening. So when all these shows have guests, or interviews on, or special guest hosts and all that stuff, we love that, because people crave that. They want good content. And if we look around, like you said, there's a lot of new podcasts popping up every day. There's a lot of new blogs that pop up every day. And it's a subtle difference, but we try to distinguish ourselves and say, hey, we're not a blog. We're a news website, like news, opinion, analysis, whatever you want about sports. That's what we're going to provide. And you see a lot of those things fold up pretty quickly, and we've been able to thrive. And again, it's all about the people that do all the grunt work, and that's writing the content, doing the research, doing all that stuff, watching all the film, doing all the stuff that they can do to provide all these readers with the great content. And that's how we thrive.
You were one of the early adopters, though, as far as the radio networks and all that of the AAF. What caught your eye, and what made you decide to jump into this world? And I know you approached the shipyard first, but what was your idea behind the AAF with everybody else just sort of ignoring it?
Well, and that's it. We look at ourselves as, we don't just want to follow in the paths of what other people have done. So, when I look at what's out there, I see, what caught my eye was that there's a great community of shows, guys that interact, hosts that interact, and trying to build that product. And, we want to be a part of that as well. Learning about the AAF, it was intriguing from the start. The closer and closer we got, I love football, and a lot of us that write for the site love football. So, we looked at it as just a golden opportunity to get in with these teams and get in on the ground floor and kind of grow with them, because they may be a league, but we're in very similar positions where we're competing in a very fierce environment and work environment when it comes to sports journalism, and going up against very established sites. So in order for us to make a mark, we got to provide something that not every site does. And I think the AAF is kind of the same deal when it comes to football. So it was a natural attraction in terms of that. And then again, like I said, you look at the community, including your show, and you mentioned the Shipyard guys. It seems like a great community of a bunch of fans who love the sport. And I think if we can bring that to the fans that we have, it's win-win-win for everyone.
Absolutely. And so besides myself and the Shipyard, go ahead and tell everybody who else is joining the Full Press Coverage radio network, and who people can expect to hear as far as AAF is concerned on your radio station soon.
Well, it's great because we've actually been pretty busy the last few days. So we added last week, the Memphis Express and Gold podcast, which obviously they cover the Memphis Express. So we just got their episode aired for the first time last week, and we'll be looking forward to having theirs on Friday and Saturday. We haven't hammered out the actual schedule, but given the fact that AAF games are played on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have every Saturday morning all of our AAF shows playing that have played throughout the week. So it'll be a good chance for everyone to catch up. And then we also just added the Iron Legion podcast this afternoon, in fact. So we have about for the team's coverage, because in addition to that, we have one of our guys that actually works for Full Press Coverage do the Apollo report, which of course follows the Orlando Apollos, and then yours is a more general AAF podcast. So, we've almost got it all covered. And again, it's your guys' talent and good. The content that you provide is what is growing this section for us. So it's great to have that in the written content. So it's exciting, and we're looking forward to hopefully having all those teams covered by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's only week 2. Or week 3 now.
Yeah.
We just finished week 2, but yeah, it's crazy that there's still 10 games is such a short schedule, but we're still in the beginning of this, and it feels like we're already mid-season.
Oh yeah, well, it's crazy because I mentioned to you off the air, I cover mostly the NFL, but I grew up in New England, and obviously I'm a big Patriots fan. So for me, the last few weeks of February are usually the real calm in the sports world, because the football season's over, baseball hasn't quite started up, the winter sports they're kind of just getting out of that final long period of the season right before the playoff rush. So it's kind of like the calm, but now it's the Super Bowl, and then it's like, oh wow, we have more football on Sunday and Saturday and for the next 10 weeks. This is fantastic. So leading us right up into the NFL draft. So it's been a great, it's been a great February. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and then it's going to be a great March and going into a great April. And I mean, yeah, more football is never a bad thing in my opinion.
No, likewise. So that's why it's going to be interesting what's going to happen next spring when we have also the XFL coming in. But again, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because we're only in week 3.
Yeah, we are. I mean, look at you with the foresight already. I mean, there's already some XFL podcasts, so I'm just saying you might want to look into that.
Hey, you can always follow Full Press Coverage XFL at FPC_XFL. We're already ahead of the game. So
see, I'm telling you, it's foresight. It's definitely foresight. So, all right, take a quick second. Remind everybody where they can find you and where they can find all the content that they can find on Full Press, and where they can find you on social media as well, if you'd like.
Okay, well, of course, you can go to the site, fullpresscoverage.com, and you'll see the menu laid out, and we have all of the content right on the main page and individual team pages and all that. And, if you go to fullpresscoverage.com/radio, you can see links to all our radio streams and where you can download the podcast. And very long-winded, but on Twitter, you can follow at FPC _NFL. And then from there, you can see we have a whole bunch of team accounts. I mean, I can't even count how many Twitter accounts we have, but they're all there and they all follow the same. And then, of course, if you want to follow me, it's at IGLEN31.
Outstanding. Ian Glendon, he operates Full Press Coverage and Full Press Coverage Radio, which we are a proud member of. And again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be on your network, and thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. And I look forward to doing it again, because I love hearing myself speak. So
I love it. All right, thanks so much.
All right, have a great night.
All right, time now for the Fantasy 4-Pack, where we give you some value plays for Fanball.com DFS, where is the only place that you can play Fantasy AAF on the DFS side for us folks that love to put money where we probably shouldn't. But again, these are all plays that are going to be under $5,000 for the week, and they are value plays. Again, you can play any of them. You can play all of them. Most of these guys are going to be all flex players. So just sprinkle them in where you see fit. If you know that you have not a lot of money because you've paid up for the Garrett Gilberts of the world and all the high priced players that are out there right now. So all right, here's 4 players that are under $5,000. We go back to the well with Ernest Johnson. We know last week he only got us 5.7 points, but he was the guy getting the bulk of the carries for Orlando. And again, I think this is going to happen again. And I think that he is going to see an increased workload once more. And really, 5.7 points is not really all that great, especially at $3,000 that he was last time. But, they're going up against Memphis this week. And I think D'Ernest Johnson proved that he has what it takes to be a solid ball carrier. I mean, 57 yards is pretty good. And hopefully he can catch a couple of passes out of the backfield against Memphis to raise his value a little bit, raise his floor. But he's coming in at $4,800 right now. Obviously an increase over his price last week, but he's still under $5,000. Still an intriguing play at that price point because, again, as long as he can get about 60 yards and maybe 4 or 5 catches, he can hit some sort of value for you. So D'Ernest Johnson, Orlando running back, $4,800. You might want to take a look at him. Nelson Spruce of the San Diego Fleet, he again is the wideout, and now with no Cam Kelly, somebody's got to get those targets. One like there are very many targets, but somebody's got to get a couple extra targets. And Nelson Spruce set himself up last week to be the guy, so he comes in at $4,800 as well. So he's an interesting play, only because again somebody's got to get those targets, and somebody's going to catch those balls because there's going to be a lot of them. They have to throw the ball a lot. San Diego will, to keep up with San Antonio. I honestly don't see Philip Nelson not putting the ball up quite a bit. As long as he doesn't do it over his head too many times, then I'm pretty sure Spruce can catch a few more than he did last time. So Nelson Spruce, San Diego wide receiver, coming in at $4,800. He had 4 catches for 58 yards last week, so that's a good 9 points in fantasy for the PPR in the Fanball world. And then now coming in at $4,400 is Tim Cook. This is going to be one of 2 Arizona running backs that I'm going to... You hardly ever want to play more than one running back from a team, I think. But in this case, this is a good stacking option with quite possibly Woodrum and these 2 running backs and maybe a receiver. I know it's a lot of roster space for Arizona, but I think that they are actually going to score quite a few points this week. And I think if you have both running backs and the quarterback and a receiver, if you have a good piece of this offense, even if it's just in one build or one lineup that you have, you might be okay. But with Tim Cook, again, he comes in at $4,400. He's the Arizona running back. He had 73 yards last week, and then he had that 1 touchdown reception for 4 yards. So I know he only has a week of work, but at $4,400, if you can get 73 yards again and a touchdown, then you have definitely hit value. And not a bad week for a flex running back at $4,400. I would definitely find a way to fit him in. Obviously, they want to get all of their running backs involved. I know that he's going to split carries with Jarrell Presley and Justin Stockton, who we're going to talk about next. But out of the 3 of them, Tim Cook looked like he actually had what it took to maybe take the lead role from Jarrell Presley. And so at $4,400, if you're going to take a flyer on somebody, you might as well do it from a guy that they're feeding the ball to that stands to maybe overcome the top spot there. And speaking of the other running back, Justin Stockton bursted on the scene. He's at $3,300 right now. So this is definitely an intriguing play because of how cheap he is. He had 54 yards and a touchdown last week, and he caught a ball for 4 yards. What is it with these running backs and their 4-yard receptions for Arizona? But again, with that, it's 11 points for 12 points actually for Justin Stockton, just a little over 12 points. And if you're coming in at 3.3K, 12 points is right around 4 times production, which is out of a flex position, what you really are drooling for. So if Justin Stockton can do that again, then you are looking at a very good day against the Salt Lake Stallions for Justin Stockton. So again, those are all players that are under $5,000 that have some sort of value to you. I wish you all good luck if you choose to play on Fanball this week, because last week was kind of a crazy week. Charles Johnson just going off made the entire slate almost a nothingness, because there was a few people that did end up playing Charles Johnson, but I don't think anybody really knew. And okay, let me give you a little hint about fantasy play, okay? There's a lot of folks that do great research, and it's absolutely top notch, and people are really into this, and they all do great work. But at the end of the day, there's a little bit of luck involved too. So be careful who you follow, be careful who you listen to. And listen, if you don't want to listen to my words of advice, I don't blame you, because I know the experts out there still say the same thing, is that there's a lot of luck that plays into this. And you never know, especially in a league like this from week to week, who is going to be the guy to blow up. And if you have somebody claiming that they are the absolute 100% experts, I would definitely, kind of take that with a grain of salt, because right now in the AAF, there really are no experts. There are people that are learning just like you, just like me. You can take all of what I say and throw it out the window. But if you want to use a player or two here and there and see how it works, I don't back mine with a guarantee. I'm just a casual observer who looks at DFS as a casual fan as well. And I like to play, and I like to help people play. And if you only throw $5 down, if you want to do a free roll, by all means, please do it. Have some fun with it. But like I said, take my advice and use it as you will. But please don't label me an expert. I'm just having fun with the rest of you, and I love to share a little bit of knowledge of folks you might not be paying attention to, and put on your radar. So. All right, Fantasy 4-pack for this week is complete. Show is complete. We're going to finish this up, and we're going to get to the games on Saturday. I cannot wait. So let's finish the show. And that'll do it. That'll wrap up this episode of the Alliance Football Podcast. Again, I am so happy that you joined me. I am so happy that you made it to the end. Do me a favor. If you make it to the end of this episode, which I hope you did, tweet me the tweet me the phrase, "I made it." I just want to see how many of you guys actually make it to the end of the show. And if you aren't following me on Twitter yet, follow the show on Twitter at AllianceFBPod. I said in the beginning, or you can follow me at RJ Villagomez and tweet to me. I made it. I may make an Instagram page. I'm debating on that. I don't know what to put on there yet, but that may end up coming up soon. So if you want to see more from the show, let me know. Email us at alliancefbpod@gmail.com. Give me some pointers. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you want more of, less of. Do you want me to shut up? Do you want me to find a co-host? I don't know. What do you want? But like I said, I'm having fun bringing you the show. I want to give a huge thanks to Ian Glendon for joining me. You can find Full Press coverage and Full Press Radio Network on the web. And then, of course, you can find Ian on Twitter as well. Huge thanks to the AAF Delivery Guy, Ronald Wilson. Encourage him to keep up his videos, because they are astounding and amazing and a lot of fun to watch. So we love the league, and we love having folks that love the league on this show. So, all right, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to get to football on Saturday. I can't wait. I hope you have a chance to listen to this before then. Get primed up for football. So until next time, we are the Alliance, and I'll see you on Monday.